Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. My parents got married at a young age. When my mom got pregnant with me, I guess they just thought getting married would be the next best thing to do. Well, the love wasn't there, at least on my dad's end, or it was, but not long lasting enough. It was a love that was overpowered by the pressure my grandpa had put on him to marry my mom. So, needless to say, their marriage was a shit show from the beginning. Their personalities were very different from each other, so they didn't get along the best. Those were my memories from childhood. It was always like my parents were there for everything. They did a lot for me too, but all that always just felt empty in a sense, like that they weren't emotionally present for me. One thing I would say though, even through all of this, my mom and I were able to foster a relationship with each other. A pretty close one at that, but my dad, he is just always a stranger to me. Almost like a stranger who I always tried to connect with and failed miserably. Well, years passed this way, and I had gotten used to living this almost monotonous life until everything just changed. There were no warning signs, just one random day. I still vividly remember it. My dad just got up, packed his things, and just left. I remember my mom tearing up as she tried to get my dad to wait, and me just watching everything play out because I had no idea what was going on. Immediately after, I started to ring up my dad to see where he had been, but I received no answer. All until a week after I saw a Facebook post of him announcing his engagement with Danica, his work secretary. I was dumbfounded at this discovery. I knew I couldn't let this BS slide because how can this man simply just leave my mom and I alone like this and go after a girl who was just 5 years older than me? Hell, she could pass as his daughter rather than his wife. Well, regardless, I decided to go to his workplace that day itself and confront him, only for this bombshell to be dropped on me. It was that day that my life shattered and my dad revealed to me that the only reason he had left my mom was because he found out that she was sleeping with her work colleague the entirety of their marriage, and I was his child. The drive home from there was a rough one. Throughout the drive, I had to hold myself back from messing up and getting into an accident. Everything became blurry to me that day because it was like I had lost both my mom and dad. I returned home that day only to start planning how I was going to escape this household, and I managed to by working tirelessly all summers. I left for college and never looked back. My mom tried contacting me multiple times, but I just knew I couldn't look her in the eyes the same way, and I had just gotten the confirmation that I was done with her the day I saw a Facebook post of her with her new boyfriend and his children with a caption that read, "Only if OP was here, our family would be complete." I mean, I guess she realized that she had lost me too since the past couple of years. I had spent being as distant as I could be from her. I was done with them. They were nothing but selfish to me, never giving me a chance to have a family of my own. So I never looked back. I met amazing friends who became my chosen family, got a girlfriend, got my degree, and worked tirelessly to get my way in life, all the while watching my parents being great parents to their new families. It's been about 7 years since I've been living this way now. I have now graduated from college, landed a great job, and have gotten engaged to my very beautiful girlfriend. This is also when the shitstorm of a story begins. You see, about a month back, it was my 5th anniversary with my girlfriend. It was the day I had decided to propose to her. It was a beautiful night, but who would have guessed? That night was also the night that my dad returned to my life. It was a Facebook message request from him. My stomach dropped the moment I saw his name, and my anxiety increased even more when I opened the request to see paragraphs on paragraphs written by him. I closed my eyes for a second before starting to read it, and boy, was it a hell of a read. It started off by my dad inquiring about my well-being, informing me about his and other formalities. He then apologized for all the pain that he had put me through, telling me how the last time we had met was all a misunderstanding. Apparently, his health had been declining recently, and he wished to meet me so that he could see me as much as he could for as long as he could, since he had only a few days left. I was heartbroken to read this. He almost had me. I mean, what man would not want to meet his dying father? I was so into the story, and then he dropped it. The part where he confessed to me that his wife had been lying to him all this damn time about my DNA. Huh? I mean, was there no DNA test involved? No confessions made? He apologized throughout the message profusely, but I was having none of it and told him so when I left him a single sentence reply that said, "Don't you ever dare to text me again." That is where I am currently, peeps. Lost and unsure what to do. My phone blows up with messages from both my dad and his wife every day, both apologizing to me profusely about all the stunts they have pulled. I have nothing in my heart to forgive them. In fact, what I want to do is apologize to my poor mom, who was right about this disgusting freak all along. What should I do here? My girlfriend says I should give them a chance to speak for themselves, and that is what I'm leaning towards. But at the same time, do these people really deserve it? Any advice would be much appreciated. AITA? I have decided to go meet my dad, who is currently in the hospital. It's going to be a long drive over, so the updates might be slow. Please bear with me about it. As for contacting my dad's stepchildren, I really thought about it, and it's a great idea in my opinion. So, right after I had decided to inform my dad about the visit, I had first messaged his eldest stepson, Adam. Surprisingly, I immediately got a reply, and Adam, for some reason, was extremely enthusiastic to meet me, as if he had a lot to say to me. So, a couple of calls and arrangements after, I'll be soon ready to drive a long couple of hours to see my dad. I know for a fact that it's definitely going to be a hell of a journey, so buckle in, guys. It's been a couple of weeks since I last updated, and oh boy, was it a ride. I first met with Adam before I met my dad. From the get-go, I knew the two weren't in contact, which is why planning was so easy. Well, to put it in short, my dad tormented Adam and his siblings. Why, you might ask? The same reason as to why he tormented me, because I wasn't his son. Adam informed me that after the couple had gotten married, mind you all, Adam's mom left her marriage for my dad, they had another son, which I honestly had no idea about because I didn't know who were the stepchildren and who were his children. Well, it was made clear to me by Adam, and we talked about the mistreatment that my dad did towards them in comparison to his children. Honestly, hearing some of it made me glad that he had left the house because it was brutal. But when the time came, he definitely got what he deserved. For example, losing his job in the pandemic and then falling extremely sick with absolutely no one to look after financially. Apparently, his wife, who had left her job once they had gotten married, now works a minimum wage job as my dad struggles to simply exist in the hospital. He has lost everyone except his wife and his children, who are victims themselves, and thus making it the reason why he has been so very desperately reaching out to all of us. After all the families he tore apart, all the children he traumatized, this is the bare minimum. After this conversation, I thanked Adam and left, promising him to stay in contact more so that we could catch up because I had more to do, meaning going to see my dad. Amidst this, I was able to contact Mom through Facebook. We'll be going to see our dad together. It's definitely going to be emotionally worse than this meet because I will finally have to face what I have been escaping all these years. So I visited my dad in the hospital, where after exchanging awkward greetings, my dad cut to the chase and confessed to me that he had indeed contacted me, not just for financial support, but for my kidney. Apparently, he had been trying desperately to find a match, and after finding no one, his wife confessed that everything that she had made up about the affair between my mom and her affair partner, and whatever she had lied to my dad about hearing every time she visited his place to pick up his lunch, was a lie. My mom, who was present there, burst out in tears, and I couldn't hold myself back, too. Through my tears, I made it extremely clear that he wasn't my dad, and he wasn't ever going to be my dad. I informed him that today was the day that he had died for me, and I was only left with a single parent who was my mom. I could see the shame on my dad's face, but it wasn't enough for me to forgive him, so I just told my mom to get up, and we left. That ends my chapter with dad, leaving him to rot and suffer alone. I still can recall the way he called out our names, begging for a chance. I simply just left him $1 that he had given me the last time I met him at 16. I still vividly remember him telling me to buy myself a snack while I left with it as him and his wife laughed at me. As for my mom, though, I know this is just the beginning. I have apologized to her for everything, and she apologized to me for not trying enough. I know this doesn't mean that it's the start of a mother-son relationship, but definitely a new beginning. I will soon be meeting her husband and stepchildren too. They already seem very eager to meet me, based on their calls at least. Thank you all for your amazing advice. It has been nothing but helpful. NTA, you don't owe your dad anything after what he did to you. Good on you for seeing all sides of the situation, though. NTA, oh God, I can only imagine the mental trauma you and your mom must have had to go through. Your dad truly deserves everything he's going through for the same reason. God knows what else he's done. My ex, 34 male, and I, 32 female, have 2 kids together. 8 male, 6 female. Ex and I divorced because he cheated on me with friend of his, 36 male. The same person he run a business with. I tried to understand and end things amicably. I even told him that there were no hard feelings since I saw my own cousin suffering discrimination for being gay, which made him end his life. So I didn't want the father of kids feel the same way about his family. So we ended everything amicably and agreed to co-parent 50-50. I even went to their wedding to show my support. This all happened about 5 years ago, and my kids really enjoyed being with their dad. Around 5 months ago, he started skipping his weeks because he was busy and couldn't watch the kids. Then he ended up telling me that he and his husband were expecting baby boys, fraternal twins. So that's why he was so busy and unable to watch the kids. They were traveling a lot. They welcomed the baby boys around 2 weeks ago. The week they welcomed the boys was supposed to be my ex's week. He then came to pick the kids up 2 days later because he was tired. When my kids came back, they looked sad. Thus, I asked my boys what was going on. Then my 6-year-old asked me, crying, "Has Dad replaced us?" I said, "No, sweetie, he loves you. He's just making your family bigger by giving you baby brothers." So my son asked again, "Then why does he love his new kids and husband more than us?" I tried to comfort them both, so they told me that they didn't want to go to his house anymore. I know this feeling is temporary since I know they feel threatened like they felt when I welcomed my daughter and had a similar attitude, but I don't want to invalidate their feelings and give them some time to process. My ex's week was supposed to start today. He came to pick them. Even if I knew my kids didn't want to go, I wouldn't ban him from taking them since I can get into trouble. When he got to their rooms to wake them up, they started refusing to go. Then he asked my help to convince them to go, but I told them I couldn't do anything against their will. Then he asked me to take them myself to his house, but I refuse because they don't want to go. He offered them to go eat ice cream and make them feel special, but they refused again. I told him what they said to me, and that was why they were refusing to go. His eyes went teary and insisted I should convince them. He then called me TA for not encouraging them to go. He left mad at me. My sister says I am TA for not helping him to convince the kids, and it makes me look bad. I think you're right. This is a problem he's going to have to step up to and solve for himself. It's rather ridiculous he thinks that you should be able to fix this for him. He created these feelings of alienation with his boys. He's going to have to fix it. It's not like you're bad talking him to your children. This is entirely of his own making. NTA. NTA, but why didn't they tell the kids about the babies? Could have had them help and get them comfortable about new siblings. He maybe is a great dad, but it sounds like he didn't take his current kids into consideration. Just like he was probably prepping his house, he should have been doing the same with his kids. I come from a fitness family. They take the gym and fitness very seriously, especially my brother. A few years ago, my brother asked my wife, at the time she was my girlfriend, and I to take care of his son, Tom. He was 17 for 7 weeks. At the time, my brother was desperate, and I didn't mind looking after Tom for a short while. Tom was a terrible house guest. He didn't think that he had to listen to my wife, Anne, because she didn't know what she was talking about. It was frustrating to live with him, and if I had known his attitude, I'm not sure that I would have allowed him to live with us. At the time, Tom had started working out at the gym and was a complete beginner. He thought himself as a gym god. Usually, Anne was going to the gym with him, and she would always try to correct his form. But he would dismiss her. He would always try to max out all the weights, refuse the spotter, unless it was a big muscular man, and spent most of his time strong man posing. If I'm being honest, I'm surprised he didn't seriously injure himself back then. One day, Tom challenged Anne and I to a push-up competition. I assumed that it was light-hearted and meant for banter, but Tom was being dead serious. He, in his words, wanted to show Anne who was boss. For weeks, Anne and I ignored his request. The competition was childish, and it was clear that he was only doing it to antagonize Anne. After a while, he managed to get strangers from our gym to participate for a small cash prize. It was clear that he wasn't giving up, and after a lot of badgering from him, Anne and I decided to do it, for a laugh. Tom was the first one out. Anne won. She did the most number of consecutive push-ups. Of course, Tom was angry about this and would not stop mentioning it even after it was over. Anne didn't even keep the money, but he would not shut up about it. Years have passed, and I have not spoken to Tom since he stayed with us. He's 23 and has graduated uni. My brother invited us for a big family gathering, and this was the first time I saw Tom in a long time. Tom brought up the competition he had years ago and jokingly accused Anne of cheating. She denied, but politely told him to let it go. A few of the men in my family were challenging themselves to a dead hang challenge. Who can hold on the longest? A few people were jokingly asking Anne to try. At first, she was declining, but she decided to give it a go. As expected, she held on the longest, even after a few rounds. Most people congratulated her, but Tom insisted that she cheated, or that she was on steroids because she couldn't be that strong. Most people went silent and ignored him, but I told him to let his insecurities go and focus on getting stronger. After that, he shut up. Anne thinks that I may have gone too far and I may have been attacking a child for no reason. Tom is not a child. Tom is a classic bully. You've already shown incredible restraint. He keeps trying to disrespect your wife, and it's rich that he gets shown up. He then has the audacity to accuse her of cheating. The problem should have been addressed long ago. You are NTA. NTA, he's going to challenge her again and again until he finally beats her in something, so he can put her in her place and gloat about it endlessly. Use it as an example of how weak, useless, pathetic women are, your wife in particular. If you suspect that your brother eggs him on, then I'm sorry to say that your family is filled with vitriolic men that hate women. Your wife has shown herself to be capable of going toe to toe with them and winning, and they're upset about it. Your brother's comment about her showing off is very telling. They wanted her to be small, weak, and lesser than them, and anything other than that makes her a bad person to them. Men like that are dangerous to women. I don't know what your dynamic is with them, but I would never, ever be alone in a room with them. They aren't safe people for your wife to be around. And I may have been attacking a child for no reason. Tom is not a child. Tom is a classic bully. You've already shown incredible restraint. He keeps trying to disrespect your wife, and it's rich that he gets shown up. He then has the audacity to accuse her of cheating. The problem should have been addressed long ago. You are NTA. NTA, he's going to challenge her again and again until he finally beats her in something, so he can put her in her place and gloat about it endlessly. Use it as an example of how weak, useless, pathetic women are, your wife in particular. If you suspect that your brother eggs him on, then I'm sorry to say that your family is filled with vitriolic men that hate women. Your wife has shown herself to be capable of going toe to toe with them and winning, and they're upset about it. Your brother's comment about her showing off is very telling. They wanted her to be small, weak, and lesser than them, and anything other than that makes her a bad person to them. Men like that are dangerous to women. I don't know what your dynamic is with them, but I would never, ever be alone in a room with them. They aren't safe people for your wife to be around.